Get the Intel, the podcast meant for those of us trying to find out what the hell is going on in the field. Here we discuss tools, techniques, and approaches that you can implement to streamline operations and let you focus on your craft.
Hello, Chad Gill here. I'm the host of the Get the Intel podcast, where I talk with leaders in contracting, management, and really anyone helping us do business better. This episode is brought to you by Laminin Coaching. Laminin is a business coaching company with a focus on contractors in and around construction. We not only help with proposing solutions and methods, but implement them in your business as well. After all, good ideas are not useful until they're implemented. So if you're ready to elevate your business, visit us at laminincoach.com and see what we can do for you. We're also sponsored by Global Polishing Solutions. GPS is an industrial and commercial concrete polishing, floor coating, and covering company with an IS Net World membership. GPS is capable of handling projects from warehouses and data centers to intricate designs for retail and commercial spaces. They firmly believe in prioritizing safety, quality, and client contentment while providing durable floor systems. Explore their range of services at Global Polishing Solutions today. All right, so joining me today is Scott Weir, a former high school teacher turned tech entrepreneur and the brain behind SimplaDocs, an agency dedicated to revolutionizing business processes through custom internal tools and automation. So we are diving into the world of efficiency. So Scott, thanks for joining me. Obviously, I know you, avid bike rider, dad, Coda guru, YouTube personality, got it all going.
Doing a lot.
Yeah, all in blocks, right?
All in blocks, yeah.
How do you go from a high school teacher to tech entrepreneur?
As a teacher, teaching is the same as any other job. There's processes that need to be followed. And I think a lot of people just take processes at their face value of this is what I need to do, so I'll do it. And I think ever since I've been a kid, I just always questioned why we do things the way we do them. Why do we do that? What is their value in that? And I think that naturally leads me to ask about better ways to do those processes. And so I think as a teacher, there was just so many things that I was supposed to do. And I just saw them as archaic or easily automated, right? Of these different things that just took people hours and hours of time that were just different emailing things or looking at their email to see if someone responded or trying to get someone to fill out a certain form. And it was taking a majority of teaching time. And so in that, I didn't know how to fix it, but I just thought to myself, there's got to be a way to make this easier, to automate these parts of my job so that I can actually do what I care about, which is spending more time with these kiddos and, actually educating them in the classroom. And so I just set out on a mission. I just set out on a mission to absolutely teach myself whatever I needed to know and get the skills I needed to create these more automated workflows. And so as I did that, I slowly started to realize that what I was doing wasn't just a teacher thing. It wasn't just an education thing, but it was really just a process optimization or a workflow optimization. And that everyone needs that. Every business needs to understand their processes, their workflows, and there's usually a better way they can be doing them. So jumped out of teaching and decided to start helping anyone, especially businesses, do that.
So how do you come to Coda? I know that's your main kind of
it's the main tool that I use to help businesses optimize their workflows. But we work with a lot. But how I came on it was, I think I just started with a Google Sheet. I was I wonder if I can just track this data in this way. And then I was I wonder if there's a way to send automatic emails based off this data in a Google spreadsheet. And so just kept asking questions, would ask people around my school, and quickly learned you need to know scripting and technical code to do that. And at that time, I didn't. I had no idea how to code, right? I was just a high school teacher. So I thought, that's not going to be for me. There's got to be other ways that is similar to a spreadsheet, but also allows me to kind of connect to my other tools that I use. And for me specifically, that was email, right? I wanted to help automate a lot of different email processes. And so I just started Google searching for things like a spreadsheet that I can email from. And I think I landed on Coda. I must have landed on Coda because that's what I do now. And yeah, so since then I've learned to code, and we do a lot of different we connect a lot of different tools for businesses and their teams, but it was really just that singular mission. I'm gonna automate this workflow in my job no matter what it takes.
So you and I were talking, and I was kind of lamenting that I've been trying to implement block scheduling or time blocks and stuff like that in my schedule. And you're like, hey man, I do that a lot. How do you use it, and why do you do it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I, as you mentioned in the beginning, am an agency owner. I'm a dad of 2 very young kids. I am trying to be on my bike all week long, and I run an active YouTube channel. So there's just so many responsibilities that I have that I think I'm naturally really efficient as a person, but I soon realized that I was over capacity. And then unless I had a structured and intentional way to approach my tasks and my responsibilities and my time, that I would just essentially fritter it away, right? Because without this intentional plan, you essentially decide what you're going to work on in the moment. It's just, what do I want to work on right now? And there's so many factors in your head that might skew what you think you should work on, right? So normally your mind just goes to what's most important or what's most urgent right now. And depending on the time of day, or if someone sent you an angry email, there's so many different things that might affect your perspective of what is important and what is urgent. And those may be out of line with what is actually going to help move the needle in your business. So what I do personally is I set and I block time, and I do that every week for the entire week. And so I do that usually Sunday night before the week even starts, so that come Monday I can hit the ground running. And what I do first is I just brain dump all my tasks, everything I have to do, from like full project builds to emailing someone back that I forgot about to paying a contractor, right? I don't do subtasks. I don't do anything fancy. It's just one huge list. With that huge list, then I just go and I prioritize them, like green, red, and orange. It's color based for me. And I just quickly cycle through those. And then after that, I look at all my oranges and reds, and I start thinking about which ones are going to take a while. So I'm really big into deep work as well. This idea of being in a more intentionally focused block period of time in which you can accomplish hard tasks, right? And some tasks you need sessions of deep work to complete. Other tasks, like emailing someone back, signing a contract, paying a contractor, are these like smaller tasks that you are able to do when you have less bandwidth or brain capacity, right? So I kind of like chunk these tasks, and I figure out, okay, now I've got my like high priority tasks. Which of these tasks require a more focused deep work session, and which ones can I kind of do when I'm distracted or I'm tired or it's the end of the day? So then from there, I start time blocking. I look at my meetings for the next week. I look for spaces and I say, okay, this is an urgent, important task that requires deep work. I'm going to need 2 uninterrupted, do not disturb mode, headphones on type of work for this. And I'll look for a 2-hour slot in my calendar, and I'll pre-schedule that. And it's just in, and no one can bug me during that time. I don't let anyone else schedule meetings, right? I just set aside that time. So I do that for those large tasks where I'll say, during this time, I'll work on this task, or during this time, I'll work on this client, or during this time, I'll work on this type of task. So I'll work on all my like finances, and maybe that's 8 tasks that fit within there. But that's essentially my process. And I think there's a lot of good in actually creating calendar events for those spaces, so you stick to them. So when it comes to Thursday, you already intentionally decided, this is really important to do on Thursday, I need to do it. And that helps you not sway from that in the moment.
So if you're, people are listening and they're like, man, that sounds awesome. But how much time are you spending on Sunday organizing this? In a disorganized person's mind, you're probably like, gosh, that would take hours. But I would assume it's probably a pretty quick process now that you're used to it.
Yeah, it's 20 to 30 minutes max. And so it's Sunday night after I get the kids down, before my wife and I start watching a TV show or talking about our week, I just say, I need 20, 30 minutes. I sit down and I just do that process. Brain dump every task I have, prioritize, identify the deep versus the quick tasks, and then actually slot out them on the calendar specifically.
Now, when you're talking about deep work, is that where you, like for me, I know early mornings are my best mental capacity. And then my afternoons are kind of like, we'll see
Yep.
what happens. Is that where you figure out where your best working
Yep.
hours are and you put your deep work there?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm the exact same way too. Mornings are great for me. And anytime usually past 2 p.m., I'm pretty much brain dead.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I'll even block times out.
I
And
shouldn't even
you're not,
drive after 2 o'clock, 2 to 3
yeah,
o'clock. Man. It's a nap.
totally.
I've been walking around.
And I think it's really important to let your system serve you rather than you serving the system. Right. And so I think for me, that initially started, what that looked like for me was initially I started blocking every task. I'm going to do this task at this time and this task at that time. And it just didn't make sense, right? It took too much time to plan out these very specific times. And then eventually I just didn't follow them, or I got something done at a different time. So realizing, okay, wait, this system of time blocking is meant to serve me and how I work. And so it just started being more general with my blocking as well. So right now I may generally block out 3 hours for email. And that may include, if I have a list of 100 tasks I need to do, that may include 15 of them, emailing someone back a response, downloading something from an email and signing it and sending it back. And so allowing more general blocks too, I think has been helpful, because then it allows you flexibility within the moment to not stick to such a rigid schedule and feel like you have to do X, Y, and Z in this order. So it just helps me feel a bit more flexible, and helps me get the planning done faster too, right? It makes that Sunday night much more manageable in that 20 to 30 minute slot.
Where do you leave time for unknown events? Things that are like, hey, I got a really important thing that comes up that I need to be at, but I didn't know about it on Sunday. I find out on Tuesday and I got to be there on Thursday. How do you handle that?
I usually will move around my schedule. You can't live by what you put on Sunday night. I usually try to move those more like brain dead moments, right? Because those are the larger blocks of time that I reserve for emails and contract signing and paying someone and taxes and all those different random things. Essentially the things that are not requiring deep work. Like my deep work are because a task is really, really important and really, really hard. I don't want to move that around. I really want to focus on that. So I'll usually then take those emails and push them somewhere else. I'll shorten my lunch break, or I'll start a little extra early, or I'll push a few to next week, because I realize they're not as urgent or important as I thought they were.
And some people say 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. What size blocks do you work in generally?
I try to do larger blocks, at least an hour. I love 2 hour blocks. Because I feel like it takes you time to like context switch as well, right? Moving from one thing to the other. There's like the on ramp to the task, and there's the like coming off the task as well. And so I think like 15, 20, 30 minutes, it's hardly enough time to really context switch, open a different tab, remember what you have to do, remember where that thing is. So those larger blocks of time help me kind of get onboarded and really get the work done I need to do.
Yeah, we refer to it as mental inertia. It takes a while to just shift,
Totally.
to the thing. And I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and like, we're obviously a huge fan of using assistants and things like that. But this is a great place where you can use an assistant to say, I've got an administrative 2 hour block. So when I get that 2 hour block, and using even something like coding, you say, here's the block. Start putting in there all the tasks you would like for me to handle that are administrative in that 2 hour block.
Mm-hmm.
So that you hit it and you know what you're doing. You don't necessarily have to know what it is when you get there. You're in that administrative mind space, and then you
Absolutely.
go.
Yep. You're prepared for those types of tasks. Someone else already kind of pushed them into there for you, and you're ready to go.
And then they can track the due dates and the things like that, and that keeps moving. And like I said, it keeps that Sunday morning or that Sunday evening process a little easier. But I like the flexibility you're talking about. It's like on Sunday, I'm going to decide, Tuesday's not going to be a good administrative, day. I'm going to have to Wednesday and kind of negotiate those around.
Yeah, I think it needs to be done week by week too. It's like, oh, well, Thursday, my son's got a doctor appointment from 12 to 2. So I do my best work in the morning. So I guess I'll do this from 8 to 12 instead. So just allows me to, live my life. And I don't want to plan out things, months and months in advance. But week by week, I found works best for me.
That sounds really good, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you're using Coda to do it, Coda template, is that right?
Yeah. So I built myself a Coda template. So especially like I have committed hours to different clients. And so I also know how much I need to give them, right? So it's like, oh, I need to give this guy 5 hours. So like, where's a 3-hour block and a 2-hour block that I can schedule into my week? But Coda is really nice because it's connected with my Google Calendar. And so essentially I get to like drag and drop rows about like where my tasks are, and I can change how much I want to do that. And when I feel like I have a good schedule, I just press a button and it actually creates all the calendar invites for me. So I'm not actually manually creating calendar invites week by week. I kind of just have a template and I just kind of drag and drop things around, shift things around a bit based off what I think is important, and then press a button and my actual calendar on my phone and everywhere else is filled out with those blocks.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm sure we'll see a YouTube video on this pretty soon.
I have a lot slated coming up, but it is one of them.
That's awesome. Scott, I really appreciate you taking the time, kind of meeting with us and kind of talking about it. It's a different approach than I had heard for block scheduling. I think it's a really good way to go. So Thanks. I appreciate you kind of letting us in on it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, again, making it fit you and not you to fit it. And so it's okay to shift around strategies or practices or what people do to really fit your own personality.
Yeah, I kind of got called out by a mentor of mine who said, hey, if you can't manage yourself, how are you planning on managing somebody else?
Yeah.
He was a huge proponent of block scheduling. So try to do a little convicted there.
There you go. All right. Well, great to chat.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Adios.
Thanks for listening to Get the Intel. We'll see you next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.